IVM.
Hi, I'm Utsav, a behavior researcher by training and a slow traveler by passion. Postcards from Nowhere is a travel podcast where I condense a decade of travel experiences and explore not just the where, but also the why and how to travel. My stories emerged from slow traveling the less explored parts of the world: Bosnia and Herzegovina, Armenia, Uzbekistan, and even China. At the end of each story, I give practical tips and new ideas about how to travel better. This week, I take you to an unknown partition of the Indian subcontinent, that between Hindi and Urdu. And any attempt to further separate the two would be like cutting the umbilical cord of the Indian masses. माहिया ना आया मेरा, माहिया ना आया, रांझना ना आया मेरा, माहिया ना आया, माहिया ना आया मेरा, रांझना ना आया. This song from the 2012 Hindi film Vicky Donor has something peculiar about it. The male lead Ayushmann Khurrana sings it for his love interest Yami Gautam. Yet, the entire gender reference in the song is male. But why would the song be written this way? Because the song is written in Punjabi, and the founder of Sikhism, Guru Nanak Sahib, was one of the major leaders of the Bhakti movement. In the Bhakti tradition, the ultimate beloved, the Almighty, is perceived as master or Pia or sergeant or male, and the devotee or lover as the female. Thus, even male devotees, while paying tribute to the master, assume a female role. In the 9th season of Coke Studio, Rahat Fateh Ali Khan and the late Amjad Sabri recreated a Kalam by Amir Khusro, which has garnered 40 million hits on YouTube. The Kalam, Aaj Rang Hai, is about Khusro finding his peer, his spiritual mentor, Hazrat Nizamuddin Aulia, where he too has the gender reference in female, but the beloved is referenced as male. So how do two seemingly distinct spiritual traditions, the Bhakti and the Sufi movement, have such a similar reference point? And that too in languages as distinct as Punjabi or Hindi and Persian. This is the story of Hindi and Urdu, which today are being pulled apart in order to stoke tension by creating distinctive communities associated with each of these languages. This is a fascinating story that has a motley group of people: Amir Khusro, Mirza Ghalib, Munshi Premchand, and the British, and how religious, social, and political factors created a fracture between these two soulful languages. It started with Qutbuddin Aibak, a former slave who became the first Sultan of Delhi. The Delhi Sultanate lasted from the 13th to the 16th century, and with them, Turkic culture and language had arrived in India. Subsequently, the Mughal Empire took over, and the language of courtly affairs and literate society was Persian. At the same time, in and around the Delhi region, the common man spoke many local dialects, though they were largely unwritten. In this milieu emerged the genius of Amir Khusro, who was not only fluent in Arabic, Persian, and Sanskrit, but also picked up various dialects of the Delhi region, such as Avdi, Braj Bhasha, Bhojpuri, and a new language that was emerging, Khadi Boli or Dehelvi, or simply Hindi. At that point, Urdu as we know it today did not even exist. By the year 1700, after many centuries of coexisting, Hindi and Persian began to merge, which popularized an art form we have come to adore today: ghazals. In the year 1740, Tek Chand Bahar coined the term Rekhta, which in Persian meant thrown together, to designate this new literary mixture of Hindi and Persian. Around the same time in Hyderabad, the poet Jafar Zatalish started to shift from Persian and move to a Persianized form of Hindi. It was only in 1780 that the poet Ghulam Hamdani Mushafi, writing in Lucknow, penned the following lines: खुदा रखे जुबां हमने सुनी है मीरो मिर्जा की, कहें कि मुंह से हम, ए मुशाफी उर्दू हमारी है. So Urdu actually has its origins in the Deccan region. People always assume that the Dakhani language spoken in and around the Hyderabad region is an offshoot of Urdu, but actually it's almost the other way around. Just another hangover of the Delhi-centric historical narratives we have been taught in India. But Rekhta or Urdu, which was supposed to create a blended Persian more accessible to the masses, took on a different route, and so did Hindi. Around the late 1800s, the Mughal dynasty began to decline, and the poet Mirza Ghalib ascended into the public eye. He was patronized by Bahadur Shah Zafar, but by then, the last Mughal king was reduced to a pensioner. Munshi Premchand's son, Amrit Rai, notes that it's around this time the Persian dominance on Rekhta started to increase as a way to overcompensate for the loss of power, and Ghalib was the chief proponent of this dominance. Instead of being an accessible language that united the masses, it became overwrought with Persian, so much so that a poet of that era, Hakim Agha Jan Aish, once commented about it in a mushaira. अगर अपना कहा तुम आप ही समझे तो क्या समझे मजा कहने का जब एक कहे और दूसरा समझे. Meanwhile, the ascendancy of the British came with their divide and rule policy to ensure that any residual influence that Muslims had on power be negated. They decided to remove Persian words from the language of law courts. They said that Persian was an obscure language and the judgments must also be rendered in languages that are more accessible to the people. On 18th April 1900, a mere 120 years ago, they issued an order which also allowed the use of Devanagari in the courts. A section of Hindu society was waking up to the advantages that would accrue to them personally if the British recognized Hindi as the language separate from Urdu without all the Persian vocabulary and written in Devanagari. In time, with the help of Indians who knew Sanskrit, a new Sanskritized variety of Hindi sprang up, one designed to favor an ambitious Brahmin constituency in a rapidly changing India. It was the same script playing out, just like how Rekhta had brought benefits in the previous age to those who knew Persian. The rise of the British was bleak for both the Hindus and the Muslims, and both communities chose to cling to imagined past glories. Urdu claimed Persian as an illustrious ancestor, and Hindi clutched at Sanskrit, the language with familiar words, but a completely unfamiliar system of grammar and word construction. And thereby began the burial of the fact that Hindi and Urdu were a single language, a 12th century Delhi dialect that crumbled under British divide and rule. Urdu ended up becoming the official language of Pakistan. But what happened to Hindi? As it turns out, you can impose complicated structures on language, but cannot expect people to actually use it. Sanskritized Hindi never really took off, and apart from a tiny Brahminical community, it was roundly rejected. It's for these very reasons that Railgadi is the word we use for trains and not the Sanskritized Lohopadgamini, nor do you call a tie Kanth Langot, as neither of them roll off the tongue easily. As we saw, Hindi and Urdu were essentially the same language, and their course was altered all in a bid to retain power, whether real or imagined. As Hindi, Urdu, or Hindustani continues to be spoken across North and Western India, the obsession with freeing Hindi of Persian words or Urdu of Sanskrit and Prakrit is an exercise of utter foolishness. Instead, we should turn to Amir Khusro and love Hindustani in a way probably Amir Khusro would. खुसरो दरिया प्रेम का उल्टी वाकी धार जो उतरा सो डूब गया जो डूबा सो पार. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on our social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I am Utsav Memory on Twitter and YVTravel42 on Instagram.
Hello, everybody. It's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. An app for extramarital relationships sounds interesting? Well, it exists, and it's booming. On GBCD, Farad and Sunetru talked to Sybil Shadel from Gleeden, a dating service primarily marketed to women. On Simplified, the gang discussed the phenomena of sports washing illustrated by the recent Saudi takeover of the Newcastle United Football Club. On the Life Manifesto, Serena explains various lessons from Charlie Plum's life and how we can apply them to our own lives. On Say No to Drama, Chetna is here to slice the drama around workaholics and help understand the consequences of our choices. And learn how to simplify your personal finances on Paisa Vaisa as Anupam speaks to co-founders of 5Money, Sujit Narayan and Sumit Golani. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors on the network this week: Cred, Bank of Baroda, Quarter, CoinSwitch, Kuber, Slate Coffee, Intel, Kotak Mahindra Bank, and Oxfam India. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Are you looking for finance products and services that can enhance your personal finance experience? Are you looking for a space to talk about your financial product or service? And are you looking for a crisp talk show where the conversation is all about money? Well, your search ends here. Hi, my name is Anupam Gupta and I'm host of the Paisa Vaisa podcast, and I invite you for the conversation about your personal finance on each Monday on the IVM Podcast app or the website or on any podcast streaming platforms. See you folks.